Jagrata. When one has come to a reasonable level of understanding, they will realize that the normal course of a human life is an attempt to protect the inside by manipulating the outside. One does not have to be a genius of intuition to see that outer circumstances, the outer dance, does indeed affect the inner state. We intuitively realize this through experience. What we don't understand naturally is that we have a choice. Either we try to stop that from happening, stop the outer dance from affecting the inner state, or we go into a deeper level of understanding the energies and forces that are interplaying together, and by exploring and daring to understand, harmonize the outer and the inner state. Rebalance. One is equivalent to having a broken arm and adjusting everything around you to compensate for the broken arm. Never using it, hiring somebody to do the lifting for you, etc., as opposed to getting it fixed. Arms can get fixed. I think that's what we don't understand. I think really that's what we don't understand intuitively, is that the inside can get fixed, that the energies can get fixed, and to sit there and adjust everything so that it fits what is wrong inside of you means the end of your life. If there are things wrong with my car or with my piano or anything, and instead of fixing them, I go out there and try to get people whose ears are out of tune so they will all think I'm playing well, and I sit there and I quit my job because my car won't make it, and I believe that no one should drive because in reality my car can't. I can do all kinds of things with the imbalanced energy of brokenness. And what I will end up doing is spreading the brokenness. I will literally, by sitting here and having a piano that's out of tune, and then encouraging people whose ears are out of tune to have a place which is out of tune, it encourages nothing to come in tune. It encourages everything to cling together to imbalance. And that's not what it's about, and it will never last. At some point, someone's going to come and say, do you call this music? Oh, and everyone's going to get hurt. That person will get in big trouble, and just a mess takes place. When you spread a mess, you create a mess. That's one of the deepest principles you can come to see on this path. If there is something wrong inside of you, it's way in there, isn't it? Way in there, some pain, some fear, some jealousy, something. And you know it's in there. And you know at any point that energy could come up. It is a law of the land that anything you do in the name of the avoidance of that energy will create and spread that energy in other people. It's the laws of compensation. If I have jealousy, and because of my jealousy, even though you've never seen it, no one's ever seen it, you've been married for years and years and years, and it never came up. Why? Because you are literally compensating everything in your life. You're making sure that you come home for lunch. Oh dear, let's eat together. Won't this be fun? And you come home to lunch and you're sure that you never take a job that means you have to work at night or that you have to travel, and all these different things happen. Then nothing outside will stimulate the problem that's inside. Is the problem still inside? Yes. Is the problem affecting your life? It is running your life. Is it affecting your spouse's life? It is running your spouse's life. And it is creating situations inside of both of you which are complete disharmony, and situations outside of both of you which are disharmony. Your finances are affected because you can't travel. You can't get the raise because you're not willing to do that. Your spouse's ability to have some time alone, to experiment with different things, to whatever, is completely taken away and is stifled, and eventually it will either ruin the relationship externally or it has already ruined the relationship internally, so what the heck's the difference? The soul cannot live or grow in that situation, even though it may appear that there's something okay. There is not anything okay. So your attempt to avoid or compensate for what is wrong inside of you through external control and manipulation leads to no good at all. Most people don't know they have a choice. Most people feel that success and failure in the process of life is simply how good you are at it. Because everybody else is trying to manipulate everybody else. So the question is, who's the best at it? Because that will be the person who gets it the way they need it, and then if they get it the way they need it, they won't be having the problem, and they won. And it gets stronger and stronger, and it reinforces and reinforces, and you end up fighting with life. So basically, if you're a yogi, if you have awakening, you're faced with the choice. I have problems inside. I see I have problems inside. I see that at any moment they could destroy me. That's how strong they are. At any moment, could ruin my day. Oh, forget the day. It could ruin the month. Forget the month. Just one glance, one word, one act, one thing, and scratch the year. It was a rough year. The mind wouldn't stop for a minute. The heart was going crazy. I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was fidgety. I was uptight. No matter what I did, I didn't like it. It was deep depression. It can happen, can't it? All right? You've seen it. You've lived with it. You're in there. So basically, you know you're sitting on top of Mount Vesuvius, and you do everything you can on a daily basis to make sure nothing disturbs the darn thing. And this determines who we marry, and this determines who we're friends with, and this determines where we go, and this determines what we earn, and this determines every single thing in the whole world. Except the beauty of it is it's not all one-sided. You have this stuff in there which can get hit. And when it gets hit, it's not fun. On the other side, there is also experiences in there which are very beautiful, aren't there? Rarer than the things that get hit, but there are experiences in there that are very beautiful. There are experiences of openness, there are experiences of love, there are experiences of joy, of enthusiasm, excitement, that kind of thing that you can have go on just because somebody looked a certain way or said the exact same principles. Something they said, something they did, somebody moves, something happened, and all of a sudden a totally different thing goes on inside. Like there's this beautiful eruption and there's this tumultuous eruption. Now that we live in there and we have seen both, then the question becomes not only how do I avoid, how do I manipulate energies outside so that Vesuvius doesn't erupt, but gets more complex. How do I manipulate and control situations outside so that the beauty comes up, so that this nice warmth is happening? And we end up two faces. I want to push this away, control this, stop this, manipulate this, and I want to pull this toward, control this, manipulate this by holding this close to me. I want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. And that's a full-time job, isn't it? And if you dared to be honest and took a step back behind yourself, you would see that's all you do all day. When you're driving your car, when you're taking a shower, wherever it is, all through the whole thing, this little mind is constantly thinking. Constantly. What is it thinking about? If you could break it down, you would see it is thinking about those two things. What am I going to do about this? What if this happens? What will I do? How do I stop that? What should I do? Or how do I get this to happen? What should I do? Same thing. How do I pull this to me? How do I push that away? And it's always plotting, planning, trying to stay ahead of energies. What did that mean? What did that mean? Why did he get up so late this morning? And it goes on and on about everything and anything. So basically you end up with the outside doing its thing, the inside having its soft spots and its open spots, and this mind in between that is attempting to manipulate, control, protect, conjure, rationalize. And the mind never stops because it has been given a job. You have hired the mind and said, help! Protect me. I got all these soft spots, I got all these problems, I got all these needs, so on. And that out there, it's big. And I need something buffering me between these two. And that is the role you gave to the mind. This is why if you go to some meditation place and they say to you, stop your mind, that's a joke. There are reasons that mind is doing what it's doing. And until you work those reasons out, the mind has no right to stop. You're just suppressing. You work those reasons out, the mind will stop, naturally. You're not to fight with the mind. You just get more sick. So, now you see the predicament. That's where we started. This is the predicament that people end up in life, is in a position of control, or at least attempted control. They're attempting to control, and these are the two reasons. Because they want this energy not to get hit, and they want this energy, this feeling, this experience to come up. If you spend your whole life that way, you will spend your life neurotic. And you will never know peace, and you will never really know truth. You will only know manipulation. This is where yoga comes in. Thank God. Thank God there's an option. It's called yoga. What? You get quiet and you realize I'm in here and all this stuff's in here with me. I have, as Christ would put it, built my house upon sand. There's all that stuff in there and I built everything on top of it and here I am and it's real loose. You see it. You notice it. And there's all this world out there. Is there any way that I can release or change or heal this stuff instead of spending my energy controlling everybody and everything else? Can I take the same willpower, the same powers of discrimination that I use on the outside, and can I use them to work this stuff inside? That's it. That's yoga. Now you have turned your energies within. You've turned your intelligence, you've turned your willpower, you've turned your consciousness, you've turned everything. Now when somebody says something to you, you don't find yourself before that wondering what they're going to say, wondering what you're going to say if they say that, with all your consciousness outside, resting on that person, just completely under the control of however they felt today. You find yourself inside, fully aware that your heart is about to erupt before the person opens their mouth. You see the anxiety. You see the tension coming. You see the fear. What do you do about it? You see it. Because anything you do about it will be an attempt to stop it from happening. This is self-protection. This is like an animal protecting themselves. You are protecting yourself. So if you're not willing to sit in there and enjoy the scenery, isn't this interesting? Here comes a person walking up to me, just a person, another person on the planet, and I can't handle it. And the inside starts doing this, and you watch. So basically, when this person starts to talk, you watch what happens inside of you. And that's what you do. And you don't think what you're going to answer back. Oh my God, You'll feel naked if you do that. There are people that literally would be incapable of sitting there having a conversation with someone, and instead of listening to what they're saying, the person is in their natural state, you know what you're doing. You're thinking about what you're going to say back when they're through saying it. Half the time you don't even hear what they say. You're much more interested in what your retort is. So basically, if you choose not to do that, if you choose to just be there with the unfolding situation of life, if this person has a problem and they're yelling at you, and this person has a problem and they're madly in love with you, you're sitting in here and these different energies are coming at you. They're life. They're just life. You didn't make it. It's much bigger than you. And now here they come, and you see what happens inside of you. And that's the fun. That's the joy. And you watch, and you see. And the stuff comes up, and now it's your time to talk. But you're not prepared. You didn't prepare, and so on. In fact, you don't even have a motive. Like the person sat there and said, well, you look like you gained weight. And you watched your insides go like that and so on. And you didn't even come back and say, well, you don't look so good yourself. You didn't do anything like that. That didn't go on inside of you. Instead, you had the fun, the joy of seeing the energies change inside of you. It's like bungee jumping or riding the rapids. People do that and consider it fun and exciting. Well, you have all of that going on inside of you. You don't have to go anywheres. You can ride wild waters inside. All you have to do is have somebody come up to you and start talking. That's all it takes. It just starts pretty readily. All of that stuff is in there. If you want out, you got to get out. You can't get out standing on top of that. You can't manipulate a few things and move out to the woods and lock it down and get the right person, get the right thing, and get the finances right to where they're going to, and say, okay, it's over, is it over, is it over? No, it's not over. No, it's not over. Why? Because you still got all that stuff inside of you. There's no way that you're going to create a situation outside of you that does not hit the stuff inside of you. I already started that way. The very act of trying to do so means the stuff inside of you is running your life. So basically, at some point, you realize, I got to get it out. I got to stop sitting on top of this. I got to work this through. How? Well, some people feel they have to go through all kinds of training sessions and psychology sessions and therapies, which is wonderful, it's fine. But do you have to? No. Why? Because the stuff naturally is trying to come up. What do you think would happen if somebody came up to you and started talking and you didn't protect yourself? The stuff would come up, wouldn't it? What if somebody said that to you? Well, you don't look so good anymore. You said, oh, thank you. How's your mother doing? All right, and you walked away, going up inside of you, all right? You just kept your mouth shut. What do you think that is? Some people pay good money to have therapists bring that stuff up. All right, you got to go session after session after session to find out what? That I'm really concerned about what people think of me. Now I see. You don't have to pay all that money. Just keep your mouth shut when people are talking to you. You'll see you're very concerned about what people think of you. It just comes up. It's energy. Energy wants up. Energy wants to go out. It really is energy. It's Shakti. It's prana. The only way the energy is staying down is because you keep it down. You use your willpower to push this stuff down. And that's why you're building your life on top of it. If you stop doing that, you're in for a ride. Can you imagine what would happen if you stopped manipulating everything and let it be what it was? Every time I get to this point, it's just like, this shocks me that I'm actually saying those words. What right do we have to not let it be what it is? I don't know, but we don't, do we? It is what it is. Each thing, the weather unfolds as it is, and each person grows as they are, and people say what they say, and it's just, there's a lot of forces here, a lot, and they're a lot bigger than you. And people say things because of how their parents treated them, and their parents treated them that way because of how their parents treated them, and because of this, and because of that, and because of the genes. There's a lot of forces, aren't there? And at this point, all of those forces are culminating in the moment where this person is saying what they're saying, and they just happen to be saying it to you. Maybe you're just driving down the street and they roll their window down, la 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 la, and say it to you. There's a lot of things behind that. It's a holy moment. The whole universe had to evolve from the beginning of time in order for that to happen right there in that way at that moment with you parked there. Didn't it? You change anything, change the fact that the dinosaurs went south, and it's going to be different. So it had to be just perfect. It's really an honor that this is happening. And when it happens, it's going to hit your stuff. Why? Because you got stuff. And so your choice is always, do I manipulate and control and protect, or do I release? And that's the beginning and end of your entire growth. Do I manipulate, control, and protect the stuff that I know is full of it inside of me? Or do I release it so that each time a little bit goes out? What do you mean out? You mean I back? No, that's not out. That is reinforcing the stuff. If you are jealous and you go out there and do jealous things, does it get rid of your jealousy? Next time somebody does something that would have made you feel jealous, do you find there's less of it? You're going to find the opposite. How you like that? You're going to find that every single time you give in to one of those energy flows, it gets stronger. And you become a jealous person. You're actually reinforcing that vibration inside of you. It becomes a thing with you. Anger is the same way. People sit there and say, well, this is how I am. Nothing is how you are. You are the self. You're the consciousness. You're beyond all of this. If you feed that vibration, you will become that vibration. So basically, you don't give in to the energy. You don't suppress the energy. You release the energy. And that is the part that people have trouble with. And that is what the process of growth is all about. The consciousness, the self, the witness, who is aware that these energies are moving down there, is capable of just keeping its center while these energies come up. That, I guarantee you, it is capable of doing that. It is not necessary that when the energy comes up, you push it down. It is not necessary that when the energy comes up, you go with it and take a ride and you dump the energy out upon the earth. So you don't push it down and you don't let it have its way with you and overwhelm you and throw itself out. You attain a center, the center of witness consciousness. What is the center? The state of the consciousness wherein these energies can come up and make it through. What does it mean, make it through? Everything. When the cloud goes by, you see it. What happens? It goes by. Nothing happens. I mean, it just goes. When somebody you don't know goes riding a bicycle down the street, you see someone. Do you have to turn your head and not look and close your eyes? No, it just goes by. It makes it through. But if somebody you do know goes by riding on what you think is your tandem bicycle with somebody else, it doesn't go through. I mean, the physics of it is the same. Your eyes are seeing light which are bouncing off a bicycle, people. But it don't make it through, does it? Because it hits stuff and gets blocked inside. Let it go. Let it go. You can do that. You have a choice. Are you willing to sit in your center and let the energies come up? If you do, they will pass. All things pass. They will pass. And when they pass, you will be a higher being. You will be clearer. You will be more open. You will be more loving. There will be more beauty coming up inside of you. Because underneath all this stuff is beauty. Real beauty. There is an ocean of love right inside. But it is on the other side of all this junk. How are you going to get there? By releasing. So this path is so simple. There's nothing to do except stop stopping the process. Where do you have to go? Nowheres. Wherever you are right now is fine. It is sufficient. All you have to do is change your attitude about life. You are now protecting yourself from life. You are now trying to grab love. You ain't gonna find love out there. I told you where love was. When those waves start inside of you because you cleaned out enough, you don't care what goes on outside of you. You're walking love. You're filled with it. Anyone who comes near you is receiving the overflow of your love. You're feeling love from everybody you meet. If you happen to have a nice, close relationship, fine. If you don't, fine. You're fine. That's how it's supposed to be. And so basically, in order to attain to the deeper sense of self, the deeper love and joy and inspiration, you have to let go of this shallow stuff. How do you do that? Use life. Life is your teacher. And basically each situation that comes to you in life is tailor-made. And it will give you an opportunity to choose. Do I protect or do I release? And when you're making your decision, ask, is this worth protecting? Do I really want this jealousy? Do I really want this fear? Do I want to invest in this? Or am I willing to go through the change of release? Jagrata.